Hey YouTube, this is XVIcaliber from Team EDM. Just got back from the Photon Shockwave sneak. See? Zen Mines, very pretty. And I have a deck profile for you today. This is my current main deck. I call it the Burning Bush. It is my fire plant deck. So we will go through the deck list real quick, and then I'll go to showing the finer aspects of the deck. So we have 3 XVIcaliber Graveros, 2 Seed of Flame, 2 Goka the Pyre of Malice, and then 1 Debris Dragon, 1 Copy Plant, 1 Glow Up Bulb, 1 Dandelion, 1 Gale, 1 Lone Fire, 1 Sandgin, 1 Plague, 1 Titanial, 1 Spore, and 1 Phoenixian Cluster Amaryllis. For the spells, we run 2 Fragrant Storm, 1 for 1, Monster Reborn, Foolish, Heavy Storm, Dark Hole, Pot of Avarice, Mind Control, DDR, Different Dimension Reincarnation, and 1 Pot of Duality. For traps, we have 2 Threatening Roar, 2 Compulse, 2 Call, 2 Warning, 1 Karma Cut, 1 Dark Bribe, and 1 Trap Dust Shoot. For the extra deck, we have Formula Synchron, Armory Arm, Cataster, Iron Chain, Queen of Thorns, Black Rose, another Black Rose, Ancient Fairy Dragon, Stardust Dragon, Red Dragon Archfiend, Scrap Dragon, Mistworm, and then Leviair, Zen Mines, and Utopia. So let's go into the finer functions of the deck. So as you can tell, this deck is a lot different from standard plant decks in the fact that I don't own Tour Guides and I don't own Tengus, so I'm making do with what I can. This deck is a fire plant deck that focuses on abusing Lone Fire to the maximum. So here's an opening hand. It's not really an opening hand, but you get the picture. You can play Foolish Burial, and you bury Lone Fire. You have to get Lone Fire in the graveyard. This is very important, because the main combo of the deck focuses around this card, Seed of Flame. When Seed of Flame is destroyed by a card effect, you special summon a token to your opponent's side of the field, and get any level 4 or lower plant except Seed of Flame from your graveyard. So when you have Lone Fire in your graveyard, or when you have a plant that you want in your graveyard, like Dandelion or a Tuner in your graveyard, you play Seed of Flame. Or you bring out Seed of Flame from your grave in some way, because I run 2 Call, I run Reborn, I run DDR, things like that. And this is our other tech card. This is Goka the Pyre of Malice. You can special summon it from your hand when you control a fire monster, and then when you special summon it, you destroy a fire monster you control. This destroys Seed of Flame, activates its effect, and you get Lone Fire. Now if you have multiple Gokas in your hand, you can tribute Lone Fire, bring out another Seed of Flame, do the same thing. But what I do is I use it to just abuse Lone Fire like that, because then you can use Lone Fire to bring out Graveros, or you can use it to bring out Titanial, which are very good cards. Titanial is huge, and she negates things, and Graveros lets you set up your graveyard. During your end phase, when you have Graveros, you have to reveal a plant-type monster in your hand. Let's just say you were really unlucky and open Titanial, like happens to me all the time. But during your standby phase, if you can keep it alive, which is actually really easy, because even if it dies, you can activate Call the Haunted during your standby phase, and then activate Graveros. But during your standby phase, you can activate Graveros, and you can send Lone Fire to the grave, you can send Dandy to the grave, you can send Glow Up to the grave, you can send Spore to the grave, and you can send Plague to the grave. And it just opens up all of these plays because you don't need Foolish to actually set up your grave. And that's really important for this deck. Now, another tech card we run is Fragrant Storm. We can use Fragrant Storm to destroy any plant-type monster on the field. That means that, yes, while you can use it to destroy your own Seed of Flame, you can also use it to destroy the tokens you give your opponent to give yourself a plus. Because when you play this card, you destroy a plant-type monster on the field, you draw a card. It works like Mystic Piper. If it's a plant-type monster, you can reveal it, and then you can draw another card. So it works out like that, and it actually works really well, this combo here. Lone Fire can also be abused in other ways. We run multiple Call, we run Reborn, we run DDR, like if you remove Lone Fire for Spore. We have DDR, and DDR recycles all of our remove from play monsters. So we have lots of ways to abuse Lone Fire, and Lone Fire gets out any monster in our deck, except for one monster which I'll get to later. So we have Seed of Flame, and we have Titanial, and we have Graveros, and we have Lone Fire, and it's all fun. You abuse Lone Fire as much as you can, because you have so many ways to bring it out, and so many things you can do with it. Different Dimension Reincarnation works with Spore really, really well, and it works with Phoenixine Cluster Amaryllis really, really well. Now, Phoenixine Cluster Amaryllis, you can only special summon it through its effect or through Phoenixine Seed, which I don't run. But if you get it into the graveyard, during your end phase, you can remove from play a plant-type monster in your graveyard to special summon it from your graveyard in defense mode. It has 2200 attack, 0 defense. When it dies, when it gets destroyed, your opponent takes 800 damage, and then it goes back to your grave, or it can be brought out again next turn. So, Phoenixine Cluster Amaryllis can help set up Levier, and it sets up DDR. And you can make lots of massive plays with Dandelion and Spore and Lone Fire by bringing them out from the RFG. So it sort of works like a standard plant deck, except we have to make up for the fact that we do not have Tengus and Tour Guides. So we have to bring out monsters in another way. And I sort of coined this deck. I haven't seen anyone else run it this way, but this is a very unique way to do it. I mean, when I play this deck at locals, no one knows what Seed of Flame does, no one knows what Goka does. People sometimes forget even what Graveros does, even though I really think that a lot of decks should be maining this card, because it's like having a Foolish on legs that can suicide with Ryo, and it can get over Tengu, and it can get over a lot of problem cards. And it's really nice to have early game. That's why I run the Duality, because you want to open one of these, or you at least want to get into one of them. You don't need to special summon every single turn with this deck, which is another good thing. You have big tribute summonable monsters in Amaryllis, which you can normal summon, and Titanial, which you're going to be normal summoning if it goes into your hand, and other things like that. So Duality is not a bad pick in this deck. You know, if you grab Lone Fire, you just sort of stick with it, put it in your hand, next turn you play it and you go off. You don't have to worry about Valor, because priority is stupid. But, continuing on to Phoenixine Cluster Amaryllis. This card, it may seem really difficult to get it into the grave, but let me show you all these things we have to get it into the grave. We run Different Dimension Reincarnation, we run Foolish Burial, we run Karma Cut, which is another tech card where you discard a card and remove from play a monster. And then we run 1-for-1, and since Phoenixine Cluster Amaryllis is a monster, you can ditch it with 1-for-1 and bring out, say, Spore or Glow Up, or Copy Plant, which is another tech card I run because it helps a lot with Xyz monsters, and it helps a lot with Synchros. If you want to go into 6-star Synchros, or 8-star Synchros, or 4-star Xyz, or 3-star Xyz. You know, Copy Plant, you can bring it out with 1-for-1, you can bring it out with Lone Fire, or with Seed of Flame, or whatever, and you can copy the level of pretty much any plant you have. There's really no use in copying, like, Titanial, or Amaryllis, since it's level 8, but it's really useful, because it helps you, again, get out those Xyz monsters, and it helps you get those even-numbered Synchro monsters, like Queen of Thorns. You play her, and your opponent has to pay, well, both players have to pay 1,000 life points to play a non-plant monster from their hand, normal or special summon. So the reason this deck runs so many plants is that when you get out Queen of Thorns, it's a semi-win condition. You run mostly plants. The only plants you do not run that you actually normal summon would probably be Gale and Debris Dragon. The rest of them you'd probably set. You'd probably set Sangan, you'd probably set Plague, or you get Plague or Sangan into your grave in a different way. But the point with Queen of Thorns is to put pressure on the opponent and make Twilight decks and other meta decks sort of hesitant about doing their moves. For example, if you're making a big push and you have Queen of Thorns, and you have Titanial, and you have, say, Black Rose Dragon, some other big Synchro monster, you can attack, and they can Gores, but they have to pay 1,000 life points to do that. And when you're taking 2,800 damage, and you have to pay another 1,000 just to bring out Gores, or just to bring out Trago, that's a lot of life points. Considering all the Solemns people run, it's a really good card to have. It works with things like Battle Fader, it works with monsters that special summon from the hand like BLS, and Chaos Sork, and JD, and it makes it so there's always a cost to something that people do. And while a lot of plays these days have no cost, Queen of Thorns makes it so your opponent has to pay a cost. And that cost can get pretty steep, especially when it gets towards late game, and they're dropping Gores, and they're dropping Trago, and they're dropping all these monsters, and then you prepare your counter push, and they set Warning only to realize that they've paid too much to play Warning. And that's really where this card shines, and I really like it in the deck because of that. See, I have my Plant Girl trio here, and they all play specific functions in the deck. Titaniel is your go-to lone fire target in most cases, just because you bring her out, and she avoids a lot of removal in this format. Sork, you contribute negate. Mind Control, you contribute negate. BLS, with BLS, someone's probably going to try and hit over it, in which case we have a lot of traps to prevent that. We run Compulse, we run T-Roar, we run Mirror Force. Well, you don't run Mirror Force. You can side Mirror Force, though. I side Mirror Force. I don't have the side deck fully made, so it's not going to be in this video. But we do a lot of things with Titaniel, and she helps really well. Just some card choices. I don't have Brio, so I run Iron Chain. I don't have Trish, so I run Mistworm. I took out Leviathan Dragon for Zen Mines, and I think that Zen Mines is really good. I don't think that it's broken. I think that it's just a really good substitute for Leviathan Dragon in decks that need more utility. Because since this deck doesn't run Tour Guide, it doesn't go into Xyz that often. So when you do, you kind of want to, do more utility plays like Levier and Zen Mines, instead of just playing Tour Guide going to Leviathan and passing, which a lot of people do. But that's the deck. Please like, rate, comment, subscribe, etc. We will have more videos up soon, including more deck profiles, some duels. I have an opening or two that we're gonna put up. So feel free to spread the word. This is XVIcaliber, Team EDM, signing out.